Hey everyone, Dev here coming at you from Titans 1. Yes, Titans 1. Look at that, 4799 trophies. And framing today's video is the fact that in Titans 1 your loot bonus is 320k gold and pink and 2240 in the dark. Not only that, you also get a sweet 4-hour guard. Yes, 4-hour guard. That's pretty cool, especially when you've got mini dev to deal with. Nothing worse than trying to change his nappy, come back, realize you've turned your phone off or the phone's been inactive and you've been raided. So that 4-hour guard, quite handy. Now, while I'm scrolling through all this, because one of my students mentioned that I'd broken into the top 200, and so I haven't really been keeping an eye on it that much, but look at that, 151, just one more trophy to go, and that gets me into the top 150. The reason I'm showing that is because this army that I've been using, oops, wrong button. This army that I've been using, you would probably recognize it because it is the same army, with the exception of two more bowlers and a Grand Warden, that I've been using since Town Hall 10. And by not dropping any trophies, I've just managed to just make my way up without any real stress into Titans 1, which is kind of cool. I did have a bit of stress trying to get the Laloon going. A few members of my clan have managed to get that, so good for them. But me, I'm keeping my feet firmly on the ground. So the first one we're looking at is a fairly straightforward Town Hall 10. I say fairly straightforward because for me now, a lot of experience on bases like this, so it is fairly straightforward. Wanting to use the Queen to take out the enemy Queen and also try and trigger the CC if any as well. And because this base has got mid to low level defenses, those archer towers are a giveaway, but those cannons can be a bit of a problem. It's okay to use your giants and your wizards to clear out another corner as well as your king. As you can see, I've got some golems and giants to deal with there, so nothing really out of the ordinary. Queen's able to take them out with no stress at all. Pop the ability once, or only once, but then dropping the poison as well. Now the bowlers have got a nice easy pathway there, locking on and just smashing everything in their way, and dropping a freeze right there manages to get 4 defenses, an Expo, Inferno, a Tesla, or 5, sorry, 2 Teslas, and the Sweeper. So we're doing quite well there. We've caught it out, and the Queen manages to clean up that corner quite quickly. King's gone down over here, but with the Warden in support and the rest of the bowlers and the wizards, the Queen is just going to come swinging round, take out these buildings, and then we're going to have a nice, easy 100%. So we'll speed this up, conscious of time, because I want to get through 4 videos today. So the Queen and the Warden is a good combo. It's quite interesting sometimes when you see the Queen linking up with the Warden and the healers. Well, now they're being dragged off to talk about stuff with the P.E.K.K.A, but that's all right. But when the Queen and Warden get together with the healers, it's a good little triangle. The Queen takes out the threats, the Warden keeps things alive, and the healers keep everything else alive. So all in all, pretty powerful if you can get those 3 working as a unit. Alright, now that army looked like it fairly comfortably dealt with a Town Hall 10. Let's take a look at a Town Hall 11 situation. And this one is fairly interesting. This person has rushed a little bit, I would say. They've got max Expos, max Infernos, max Eagle Artillery, but that is about it. They've got a King at 27, don't know what the Queen's at, and the Warden is at 20, which is quite useful as well. But the reason I say they rushed is because they haven't paid attention to the cannons and the archer towers. Now that is a mistake, I think. The cannons were buffed particularly to deal with the Queen Walk, and to an extent I think they did a pretty good job on that. So unless those cannons are red though, and those archer towers have silver or gold on them, I think the Queen by herself can do a pretty good job. I think with another archer tower, another cannon, she would have been in real trouble, but as you can see, she's dealing with that area quite nicely. Over on this side, we've got the King and some giants and some wizards getting in there, trying to take out the King this time over here. And the idea is to leave some buildings up so that you've got a pathway through here to get into this core to take out the Eagle Artillery. So again, the giant to distract, the wizards get in there, take out that cannon, drop the jump, drop the golem, drop the P.E.K.K.A, drop the boost. No, drop the Warden and the bowlers. Now this time I kept the bowlers with the golem quite close. because I was conscious that the Pecker would take out that pad before everything else caught up. With the Eagle Artillery firing and locking onto the King, I'm actually alright with that. The King does have the ability to regain some health once you pop his ability, and it's only going to take about maybe a third or even a quarter of his health anyway. So all in all, we don't want the Eagle locking onto the bowlers, but we do want the Eagle to be taken out at some stage as well. So in we go. Fortunately, those defences in there drag my bowlers in, and unfortunately for me, the CC has loons in it. Loons and dragons in particular are a real problem when dealing with this, this base. The bowlers obviously can't throw rocks up, so unless you've got a good amount of wizards in behind, which I do fortunately, you're in for a rough time. So what I like to do is freeze them. And by freezing them and dropping some poison on there, you do some pretty good damage and you can deal with the loons quite effectively. It was just a shame that the freeze wore off just too soon, and when the loons crashed, they destroyed most of my bowlers as well, so you've really got to be careful about that. Now the bowlers have essentially gone. Well, no, they won't go until this bomb goes off. There we go. See your bowlers. Okay, I'm down to 2. Okay, but the good thing is the Queen again has done some great work on that right flank, and the Giants and Wizards have managed to just chip away and drive their way through that left flank, and they're going to meet up in the middle, so we'll fast forward here. So with the taking out those corners, this philosophy works pretty well, not only with bowlers, sorry, but Valks too. So if you are looking to take out some ring bases and you're a Valk fan, which of course I still am, then you can use this tactic as well. As a matter of fact, I picked this tactic up by using Valks first and then modifying it with bowlers because they end up being cheaper per space than the Valks. Right. Moving on to another Town Hall 11 attack, this time picking up about 7k worth of dark, which is pretty cool. This one is a lot stronger. The base composition is a lot different, a lot more compartments, and also a few of those cannons that I was talking about as well, getting up in the levels, and some of those archer tails with gold on them as well. So I knew that I was in for a rougher time this time round. Idea is the same though. Take out this sort of edge here, this little section here, taking out these buildings here and using the bowlers to core dive into here. And that essentially is how I've been doing it with my bowlers, is going for the core dive. With this one though, the Eagle Artillery and the Dark Elixir storage in Town Hall are sort of off center from each other, so that is a problem that you have to deal with too. Fortunately, the bowlers are pretty good. They're going to be able to throw rocks one way and then throw them the other way. Valkyries are a little bit more problematic in this case. They might get hung up on a wall or zig when you want to zag, which is not good. Speaking of not good, the Eagle Artillery was taking out some of the bowlers there, so once again, I managed to get away with it, but I really shouldn't have dropped those bowlers. I should have given a bit more space for the Golem and the Pecker to get ahead. So with the jump spells, I managed to get the core sorted out. I get that Queen taken out, and most of my army, I say most, some of the bowlers have gone that way. Most of my army is stuck together. But here is where things start to go a little awry, frustratingly. You can see the Golem in the middle there. It really needs to be at the front, because what's going to happen is with those healers basically standing over them, they're going to go follow it. Once those bowlers go down, there we go. The healers lock onto the Golem and the Giant, and they're tapping away on that wall, not doing anything, which is quite frustrating. You really want them to be in front. Unfortunately, I didn't have any jumps left, didn't have any wall breakers left, so there was nothing that I could do apart from watch helplessly as they start knocking on that wall. Fortunately, they drew the fire from that expo, and the King and the Pecker are still doing a good enough job. The Warden and the Queen in support. Unfortunately, the King is getting a little ahead of the Warden and not really taking advantage of that life aura too much. So they're doing an okay job, but it would have been better if the Golem was in front, or even if the healers were there as well. But all in all, I was still pretty happy with this attack. This attack doing quite well against a mid to advanced Town Hall 11. Obviously this person, the walls, the strongest walls were in the exact right places for them. If those walls were perhaps those purple ones, it might have been a different story. Okay, so you can see the Queen and the Warden going down there. Right, we might have time for one more. Finishing. Could have fast forwarded ×4, but you know how it is. Still pretty happy with the amount of loot here. Anytime you can get close to 9k in a raid, you're pretty much on the right road. Alright, one last one, and it was the most recent one. And again, we're dealing with a Town Hall 11. But this one is a fresh Town Hall 11, but it is a ring style base once more. Predictably, I'm going to try and take out these areas here with the Queen, and then these areas in here with the Giants and the Wizards. The reason I'm using the Queen over here is because I'm going to expect some resistance from that Archer Tower, that King, and that Archer Tower as well. So I want the healers and support. Over here, I'm going to get lighter resistance, a small cannon, a small Archer Tower, a small... well, not a small cannon, a regular cannon, and a small X-bow here, which is not really going to do much. The bigger X-bows are back there, so pretty safe. I then want to get the jump spell over here and drive my golems and bowlers, etc. through there. So, here we go. We'll just speed up so you can see what's going on. Pretty exciting over here. You can see the Queen's about to take on a level 40 King with the healers and support. It's a bit of a mismatch, really. And then the Giants and the Wizards do their thing on that corner, which is, again, quite cool. Now, here is where life starts to get a bit sticky for my army. I drop the jump spell down. I make sure to get a bit of lead time with the big, heavy units with the bowlers and support, which is quite good. You can see the Eagle Artillery taking a few shots at that golem. The King and the Pecker break off, which is not ideal. You're about to see why. The bowlers, I raged them up to try and get them to smash these buildings quickly because the Queen went in when she should have come round this way, which was a bit frustrating. Fortunately, all those Teslas that were there are going to serve to draw all my units in. And I freeze the Eagle and I freeze the Inferno, which was a little bit hasty of me. I should have saved it, and hindsight's a beautiful thing because I've got a dragon to deal with. Now here I would have loved to have frozen that Inferno and that dragon and then poison everything off. The one thing that saves me in this particular case now is that I have a Queen and then the dragon starts to go for that. But unfortunately for me, I'm starting to lose some healers. As you can see, those traps are doing a good job in taking out the healers. Probably there as an anti-Laloon, but in the end just made short work of my healers. Now I'm down to the King and the Pecker and the Queen and the Warden. I would have preferred the King and the Pecker to be with the Queen and the Warden right here, as you can see, because now they're effectively trapped. But yeah, the Warden can step over the walls, as you can see, but the Queen is stuck there tapping away on that magma wall, that level 11. And we're starting to run into some trouble, running out of hit points over here. The bombs and the other defenses are doing a pretty good job. I'm just not able to take them out quick enough. So the Queen manages to get through that wall. I take out the Inferno, I take out the Dark Elixir, and the rest is fairly straightforward. I mean, I had two archers, sorry, out my sleeve. One went over there to take out the elixir storage. The other one I tried to use to distract from that archer tower, but it didn't quite work. And there we have it. So a pretty good raid. That's about what I'm getting. I was pretty lucky to get that 100% on that Town Hall 11, but I'm pretty satisfied with this army. It's a good, cheap army. It's served me quite well, and I'll keep using it until I see other reasons to not use it. Thanks, Jay, for the golem, by the way. So what else is going on around here? As you've already seen, my Warden's at 14. I've got some Archer Towers at max level now, and I've got my CC going up. At least max for now. Maybe Supercell will change it. Maybe they won't. We'll wait and see. Thanks for watching. Hope you like this one. As always, give me a like and subscribe, and Dev out.